Welcome back, podcast 7 of the Lift Lounge. Today's episode, we're going to touch on building confidence, all aspects of building confidence, not just making yourself feel better. And today's guest is Coach Keaton.
Well, building confidence from two really confident guys.
Full of self-esteem.
No, I wouldn't say that I'm super confident, but I would say my confidence has definitely got better from hitting the gym and getting stuck into some activity. Should we say activity? Is that the right thing to say? Stuck into some, let's just say like exercise and sport in general. Should we say that? I think.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, both me and Keaton come from a sports background. So we both played team sports, individual sports, and that has obviously contributed a good bit to our confidence. But much like last episode, I'm going to take the lead on this one. I've going to run over some points and put Keaton in the hot spot, who hasn't had much time to prepare for this one. So I want to get your thoughts on how your own fitness journey, your training, has helped you build mental resilience and increased your confidence.
Okay, so mental resilience and increased confidence. Increased confidence, I think, just because going through sports, gym, anything like that has given me proof that I can succeed in those domains. And I think that proof is kind of what that confidence comes down to. I think if someone's maybe unconfident, they have a lack of proof that they're actually able to do something. So, and that's not me saying that like, oh, I can go through these things and I can succeed at these things and I'm really good at them. But going through the gym or going through sport or going through any sort of activity and actually seeing the progress there has given me proof that I can get better at something over time. And I think that's a massive reason into how it's increased confidence. Another one would obviously, of course, be like going to the gym and working on like a more sort of bodybuilding approach to things. I've obviously seen my physique change a lot. With those physique changes comes an increase in confidence as well. I look at myself in the mirror, not to sound big-headed, but I'm much happier with the look compared to maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. Am I super satisfied with the look now? Perhaps not, but I'm way more satisfied than what I used to be. So again, that's sort of proof that I can actually create some positive change in how I'm performing and how I'm looking and how maybe other people see me visually. It has massively helped with things. With mental resilience, I would say it's a similar thing, but more so with like the performance the performance side of things, like continuously showing up and doing something hard every single day and continuously showing up and doing something that I don't want to do gives me great satisfaction and great sense of accomplishment. If you're constantly waking up and you're thinking, I need to go to the gym, and you're maybe intimidated by the lifts, because you're thinking, I need to lift heavier than last session, and it was already really hard last session, you know it's going to suck when you go in. But when you go and you do something hard and you accomplish it and you tick it off, you always feel so much better for when you've done that. So then building that mental resilience to the point of me believing in myself and being able to do those things is, obviously super important, super rewarding.
Would you say, coming from the team aspects of things where you're playing team sports and stuff, and you've got that constant feedback from people around you that you're doing well, going into a gym setting where it's all individual builds more mental resilience than it would have than if you did something else?
Yeah, I think,
because at the end of the day, it's down to you. If you don't show up to the gym for a week or a couple of weeks, no one knows but you, and all of your lifts will suffer and your routine will suffer, and that's on you. It's no one else's fault. It's not like the team let you down or anyone else let you down. You let yourself down.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it's not on anyone but you. And, nobody has to know that you're not doing that. But and it's going to be eating away at you. You're waking up every single day and you could be improving and you could be making these changes and you could be becoming a better person, but we're not. And whose fault was that? Well, all of a sudden, you can't blame it on a team member. You can't blame it on a coach. You can't blame it on someone else. You're taking all that blame.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would definitely say if you're in into the gym, you're hitting solo sessions, you maybe don't have a training partner and stuff like that, it's definitely much harder. But then I think the rewards from that are maybe a little bit greater if you do just rely on yourself and you get the hard work done by yourself.
Yeah, and I think just to round that point off, for those who haven't been training long or maybe done something as challenging as going to the gym for a long period of time, you know, I've spoke to someone only last week who raised you, and the first thing they asked is how long has he been training, and they've only been doing this maybe 6 months now. And when I said, I think it was 7 years, I said to them, might be wrong, I think it is 7 years that you've been training.
7-8 years now.
Yeah. They don't look at that as, wow, 7 years. That's pretty good. They looked at it as 7 years doing the same things day in, day out, week in, week out. It's the only way. And that weight of looking at 7 years, 52 weeks times 7, of you ticking the boxes, maybe not every week was perfect, but overall, at least 80% has been really good to get where you are now. That was the biggest point for them to say, wow, that's like, you know, if you think back to where you started to now, completely different people. The person who's been able to do it for 7 years has grown throughout, so much so that I'd say the person you are now to the beginning, unrecognizable between the two.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's because you've done something consistently for so long.
I'd be interested to hear their thoughts on that. When you said 7 years, did they think, okay, like, I'm willing to put in that graph for 7 years, or did they maybe view that as being unachievable, unrealistic? Because a lot of people think, well, I'm not actually willing to put in the work for 5, 6, 7, 10. You know, some people are putting 20, 30 years worth of work in, and they're making really, really awesome progress. A lot of people will think, you know what, like, am I actually willing to make that sacrifice for that amount, for that time? A lot of people aren't.
Yeah. So actually, I'll answer that, because he did say he was overwhelmed at the fact, wow, 7 years, that's a long time. And they're around 24. He'll know who he is. But he'll definitely be listening as well. But he would have thought, wow, that's a long time. You know, he'd probably be 31 then if he did what you did for that long. And then he would get to a similar level if he had the same dedication and effort. But I could immediately see that, because I've experienced that. You know, you look at a top pro or something, they say, oh, I've been training 10 years and, you know, you're only starting out. But to reassure him, I just said, if you just tick the boxes every day and do what you're enjoying right now for that time, you will get there.
Yeah, you don't even need to focus on 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You just need to focus on tomorrow.
Absolutely irrelevant. Today and tomorrow, it's all that matters.
Yeah, focus on today, focus on tomorrow.
And that comes on quite well to age when it comes to fitness. So we're quite lucky. We got into sports and stuff like that quite young. So, and we're still quite young now. But for a lot of people that join the team or people that we coach, they're a little later in life. And they even, I've had people sign up at 23 years old, 24 years old. And they think, is it too late for me to start training in the gym? It's like, absolutely not.
No.
Even if you're 45, absolutely not. There's people who've started training at 50 and they look great within a few years. Absolutely amazing. And it's just never too late. But that creates its own problems when it comes to confidence. So be interested maybe in your own experience coaching people of all different ages, what you think makes or breaks people when it comes to their age in terms of their fitness.
Yeah, so I think maybe, well, let's look at it both. Let's say that you're really young, or also, let's not say really old, let's just say older.
Experienced.
Experienced. Is the lack of confidence getting into the gym, and I would say more so performing. So mostly people wanting to get into the gym, they want to improve the way they look, first of all. They want to see that visual change. But they also want to make sure they're actually performing everything correctly. They want to make sure that they're going into the gym and the way that they're performing looks correct. And I think that's where that lack of confidence comes in, through either inexperienced because that lack of experience because you're young, or inexperienced because of that lack of experience because you're older. So like the most important aspects for me looking at like both of those types of people would be making sure that we're performing everything correctly, making sure that your form's on point, and those types of variables. Because if you go into the gym and you know that your form's good, that you're performing everything correctly, you're going to feel way more confident to go in and actually continuously tick off all your exercises, get in consistently, you're not going to feel like there's a massive spotlight on you. Because if you go into the gym with that lack of confidence that you're not even performing things correctly, you are going to feel like there's a big spotlight on you. You're going to think, people are looking at me, perhaps people are judging me, already on top of the fact that you're maybe slightly older or slightly younger. So making sure that you're going in and have that confidence that you're actually doing everything correctly from the get-go is going to remove a little bit of that spotlight.
I also think, just to touch on that point with age, a lot of people don't see their skills as that transferable to health and fitness. But at the end of the day, if you've ever done something repetitively to get good at it, it's the same thing. So maybe, I mean, I've had people come on who are avid readers, and you'd think, how does that transfer to someone training every day and looking after health and fitness, right? So you've dedicated time and effort each day to read. Maybe it's not physically straining, but it's mentally straining if you're doing a lot of it. And that will transfer over to what you're doing, because now you're doing something just as consistently. Maybe there's days you don't want to read, but maybe your job needs it or requires it. And you're now doing something where it's enjoyable sometimes it's not, but you're still going to do it because you've built up that. And it does transfer. Obviously that's maybe a weak example, but when you compare that to people's jobs, you know, I've had people join who are like over 40. They've probably been doing a job for 20 plus years now that they're really good at. You know, if I was to try to do their job, I'd be just as hopeless as they would be trying to do mine from this day. So realizing no matter what day you start on, if you've ever done something consistently, it is going to transfer. Just having that effort pass into it. So
strategies though for staying confident in your fitness journey at any age, and that links into what I was saying there, is creating that positive feedback loop. So if you're going in and you can see your form getting better, you're creating that positive feedback loop, and that's reaffirming you that you actually are getting better and you actually are going to be seeing progress. And that can really be with anything. It doesn't need to be with like improving your form. That could be literally creating a positive feedback loop that you're getting into the gym at the same time every day. Or you want to go at 5:30 after work. Make sure that you get in at 5:30 after work on the set days that you plan to get there. That's you creating a positive feedback loop, that you're creating the routine changes and the structure changes that you need in order to keep that up consistently and actually see improvement. Doesn't need to be form or getting stronger. It can be the smallest things that are going to link to your progress. If you can create that positive feedback loop, you're just telling yourself that you're actually having little small bouts of success across every single day, and that you're taking step by step action to being that person that you want to become. And that might be like a gym goer.
Yeah. So let's talk about fitness challenges. So I would say, you know, obviously we've talked about this a lot now in the podcast. High rocks, CrossFit, 12-week blocks of training,
bodybuilding competitions,
all of these things are, at the end of the day, a challenge. A marathon even, that's a really good one. A lot of people get into running or hitting their first 5K. Did that recently.
And round of applause for early on.
Having a challenge makes the journey way better. So I think for me, my own self-esteem, my first positive loop of that would have been when I started playing football. And when I started taking it serious, I noticed a huge increase in my performance, so much so that I got instant feedback from coaches, would be moved up teams to play for better teams, to eventually playing for the first team. So that was a surefire sign of, wow, okay, so if I do something and take it serious and work harder than the people around me, I will get an actual tangible result from that, and people will take notice of that. Obviously, when you're younger, the opinions of others matter a lot more than they do now. But now I obviously do something very individual, so it's only me that matters. But I think for me, that really built my self-esteem from having that challenge of doing that. And even recently, I'm in a dieting phase, maybe 6-7 weeks now. And instead of doing all my cardio like I usually would on a bike or a Stairmaster or something like that, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it running. So cardio for me, I never want to do it. But making a challenge that's actually a bit more enjoyable for me has made it much, much easier to do. Like, okay, I'm going to try to do half my cardio from running and see how long I can keep that out and how good I can make my running while I lose weight. So I'm getting good results from looking at something as distance versus time, as opposed to I ticked off 30 minutes today. You know, when you first start doing cardio, that could be enough for you. I did 5 sessions this week of cardio. If you've never done cardio before, that's huge achievement, 5 sessions of cardio. But I've done it so long now, and every single week for months and years now. I think I've not missed a cardio session now for over 12 months, every single week. So it's very boring. And when I do it, the whole time I'm looking at the time. Whereas when I go for a run now, I'm focusing on not dying and keeping my breath normal and trying to hit the full 30 minutes without stopping. And that's a great goal for me. And once I hit that goal, which was maybe 2 weeks ago, that goal is now changed to, okay, in 30 minutes, how far can I run? How fast can I get to this distance? 5K.
Yeah. I think having a challenge, whether that be setting your own challenge or having a challenge in terms of like you're doing an event, can do a couple of things. I think it can, first of all, lower the barrier to entry a little bit. So let's say that you're doing like an actual event, like a challenge, whether that be like a 10K or a half marathon or a marathon or something like that. That can quite quickly lower the barrier of entry because you can sign up with friends. You can do it as part of a community. You can do it as part of a group. All of a sudden, it's not just you suffering by yourself. It's not this really, really daunting task that almost seems like an impossible mountain to get over. You're doing it with people that are all there to do the same thing. They all have like a similar goal. Your times and stuff like that might be different, but they're all there to complete a similar task. That can make it seem a lot less daunting to people if they're doing it as part of a community and maybe doing it as part of a group. And then I think the second thing with having a bit of a challenge is it can create some excitement and it can actually motivate you a little bit more. Like you said there, maybe changing your cardio from Stairmaster, bike, incline walk to doing something that you've never done before can quite quickly make it exciting, and with that excitement comes a quick boost in motivation, and all of a sudden you actually want to go and do it. Like I'm sure with you picking up the running recently, like you want to get out and do it to see if you have made those improvements. You want to get out to see if you got a little bit quicker. You want to get out to see if you can find the runs a little bit easier. Like that's just going to make your goal as cardio as a whole, not running, just cardio, way more enjoyable and way more exciting.
Exactly.
So I think it can do two of those things: lower the barrier of entry and make it a little bit more exciting. Both of those things are going to make your goals way more attainable and therefore probably way more consistent over a longer period of time as well.
And to the theme of this podcast, confidence, self-esteem, doing these challenges and setting yourself challenges are all well and good. It will not build your confidence if you don't get somewhere in that challenge. You don't have to achieve the result. I think there's a lot to be gained from the journey itself. So for me currently with the running, just being able to run 30 minutes non-stop is an achievement. It wasn't the end goal. The end goal is to run close to the times I used to run when I was like 40 kg lighter, but that's a huge goal. But that doesn't mean that I took any less reward out of being able to run for 30 minutes consistently, considering the first run I could run for 7 minutes before I had to stop and was breathing out my hole. So, that's a huge jump for me in the space of a short time. And I can acknowledge those little gaps myself. And it's the same for anyone else starting any kind of journey, whether it be joining us and doing a 12-week block of fitness. Maybe they've never been in the gym before. They went from having no clue to knowing exactly how to do all the exercises they do, how to tick the boxes when it comes to cardio, how to change their physique, how to set really, really good routines that are going to lead them into their next phase to be a completely different person. So I think it's just all transferable to building that confidence and increasing your self-esteem.
Yeah, I think that goal setting aspect of it like builds confidence in a different way. So, each individual day is like a step towards that overarching goal. But each individual day you're building just a little bit of confidence and a little bit of confidence. But I think it's quite important for that like overarching goal, that the overall sort of end goal, to be a little bit scary. Like you should be thinking, that's actually a pretty scary goal when you look at it in terms of long term, because it's going to be impressive when you get there. Like it scares you right now, but each day you're taking a little bit of a step forward and a little bit of step forward. So you're building your confidence towards something that you inevitably didn't think that you would be able to do. And then that's what makes that end goal super, super rewarding. And then that just builds your confidence even more, because you're ticking off something that 3 months ago, 6 months ago, it could be 5 years ago, it could be 10 years ago, you didn't think you'd be able to get there. And you've put in a step every single day, built that confidence a little bit more every single day, and now you're achieving goals that you didn't even think you'd be able to do. What do you think that's going to do for your confidence? It's going to build your confidence massively.
And also, I think for pretty much anyone, we've all experienced periods of inactivity where we're a bit motionless, we're not doing anything that we should be doing, or we've had a period of time in our life where things just aren't going well and it feels like we're not moving, we're not starting, the wheels aren't spinning, the wheels are spinning. And having little challenges or goals in general are just a surefire way of ensuring that you're on some kind of path or journey to achieving something. And I think for 99% of people, they need it. They need something that they're aiming towards, something that they want out of life, something that they want short-term, long-term, right now.
Sometimes not taking a step back is just as important as taking a step forward, and it's going to build your confidence just as much. So you got a busier 2 weeks, maybe you're traveling for those 2 weeks, maybe you got a holiday for the 2 weeks. Well, actually not taking a step back and just maintaining the progress that you've made is going to build your confidence just as much as taking another step forward, because you're telling yourself, I can actually go through a busier period of time and not lose out on progress.
Yeah, completely just re-looking at how you would usually look at something like that, as in, I'm not gaining strength, not gaining weight. But in reality, if that had happened before you had goals, you would have probably just gave up for 2 weeks and not tried to maintain anything.
Yeah, sometimes maintaining where you are through a busier period of life is just as hard as progressing when you've got loads of free time, when you've got all the time in the world. So sometimes it's about also like reframing your goals and thinking, what does progress over this specific period of time look like?
Yeah.
Maybe you got exams coming up. Maybe you got a really, really stressful work period coming up. Maybe, like I said, you're traveling and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know how I'm going to even maintain progress right now. Well, if you put a plan in place and you do maintain that progress, you're going to feel great after it. That's going to build your confidence again.
Just to round this one off, do you think when you're going through periods of high stress, but you're having to do just as much as well as more, that it's more rewarding than it is when you just had to do it? Obviously, you've had experiences like that. For someone who's only had to do a goal and they achieve that goal, that's great. But once you've done that and then you achieve the same goal, if not more, under more stress, more effort, more pains in life or injury, I would say it's always more rewarding, and it's something that can motivate you as well.
It's way more rewarding, but you can also learn way more about yourself.
Yeah.
If you can do something hard when you're busy, imagine what you can do when you're not busy. Like if you can put a plan in place, execute a plan through a period of time that you thought was going to be impossible to manage, and you manage it, that should give you a massive confidence boost that you can get amazing results, and you can get loads of stuff done through those periods of time where you actually have more time, like through those periods of time where you're not as stressed. Like it literally is, and I keep saying this, it is building confidence, but
it's also building character, and
it's a challenge. View it as a challenge. Okay, I've got a busy period of time coming up. Bring it on, man. Yeah. Let's go.
Like, do you want to be the guy who takes 2 steps back, or you want to be the guy who's always trying to move forward?
Exactly.
Hey, so I'd like to touch on one that's a little bit lesser known. We could probably round off on this one for the podcast. But the connection between your own health, your sleep, and your overall fitness, and how that impacts your confidence and self-esteem. So a lot of people don't sleep as much as they need to, and they don't understand the huge link that will have on how you feel during the day versus how you usually feel. And also their own health, what they're eating each day, and how they're fueling their body, and how that's having a huge impact on their confidence and so on. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Sleep is something that I chat about with clients all the time, right? And it doesn't have to be this like in-depth like Whoop analysis of your sleep and all that. But I think people are in this like constant state of like being slightly sleep deprived. That just becomes the norm. People are like, I get 5 hours of sleep every night and I feel great. And
sleep deprived and over-caffeinated.
I'm like, well, you probably just feel like you feel every other day. Like I think that great is just like your version of great is the norm, right? But I know for a fact that if you go from 5 hours of sleep to even 7.5, 8 hours of a higher quality sleep, you are going to feel much better. It's not a case of you're going to feel the same as you did on 5 hours. Right now, you're trying to tackle your day on operating at substandard. It's just that substandard is your norm, right? So imagine how your day could play out if you woke up with way more energy and you had way more energy across the day and you had more sustained energy. All of a sudden, 12, 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning rolls around, you're not hitting a crash. You don't feel the need to pick up caffeine. It's a massive snowball effect as well. People are, like you said, over caffeinated. It gets to 3, 4 o'clock. I need my coffee. I've got a busy evening.
And then they caffeinate again, 3, 4 p.m. And then it comes around bedtime. Oh, I'm really tired, but can't sleep, can't switch off.
Yeah.
Or they don't even think about going to sleep at the time they probably should go to sleep. And then again, they've repeated the cycle. You know, right now you're sleep deprived again. The following day, you're building that sleep debt, and you're just in a constant cycle of caffeinating to feel how you should feel from how much sleep you should be getting, to the point where you're caffeinating so much that you're then reducing the amount of sleep that you can get, or reducing the quality of that sleep. I think Whoop and all those things are great, but for the most part, just sleeping more and having less caffeine during the afternoon, if not at all, would have a huge impact, not only on how you feel, but I think your confidence as well. Because if you wake up and you don't feel like absolute shit, you're going to feel much, much better about doing any kind of hard task than if you wake up, oh, I've got cardio to do, I've got all this work to do, I've got so much to do this morning. And what do? You roll over, go back to sleep.
Yeah, well,
how good's that compared to waking up and going, oh, I've got so much to do and I can't wait to just get into it and make a start, and then it rolls around 9 a.m. You've already got like so much work done. The whole day is free. You know, how much better does that feel versus waking up at 8:59 and starting work 1 minute to go, you know?
Yeah, I say this to clients all the time, but I just imagine waking up and your goals are easier to tick off just because you have more energy. Like, wake up, you'll view your step goal as a task that just needs to get done, instead of waking up and thinking, oh, steps, I need to go and do my steps again. I can't be bored doing that. Then I need to cram it all in. I need to go to work. Imagine waking up with energy and thinking, there's my step goal. I've woke up a little bit earlier with a good quality sleep. I've got this amount of time to get my step goal ticked off before work. Let's get it done. Smash it. And then you're just building that stack. You're stacking wins on top of each other. This is something that we could probably touch on a
There's
little bit.
so much you could talk about when it comes to confidence.
But you need to stack wins. If you view your day as little tasks to get ticked off, and you can stack wins on top of wins on top of wins, you're going to build a lot more momentum across the day. Let's say you wake up on time. There's your first win.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a good breakfast. There's your second win.
Made your bed.
Let's say you make your bed. Yeah, there's your third win. You want to go across your day and see how many wins you can stack up on top of each other. Let's say you get to 3, 4 p.m. and you've just had win after win after win, and you've got a session planned for 6 p.m. How are you going to feel when you try and get into that session at 6 p.m? You're going to feel great because every single part of your day has been win after win after win.
Yeah, and who's done that? You.
And you've done that. Let's say you wake up 15 minutes later than what you thought you were going to wake up at. You're starting your day off on a loss. Let's say you quickly grab breakfast instead of making it yourself. There's another loss. Let's say you get 6 hours sleep instead of 7 hours sleep. You skip your lunch instead of having lunch because you
woke up late. You needed to leave. You're late for work.
Yeah,
3 losses.
You
finish your work day and it's all been shit.
Yeah, and then you need to go and hit a session. How are you going to feel going into that session? Yeah. You need to hit a run. How are you going to feel going into that run? Your day so far has been loss after loss after loss, where it could have been stacking wins. You need to be looking at just the wee tasks, stack win after win and build momentum. And like you said, that can all literally be impacted by your sleep. If you wake up with more energy, more motivation, all those wins are going to be so much easier.
And that's where we'll finish this podcast. Get more sleep.
Nice and strong. Yeah. Get your sleep in.
All right. Perfect. Right.
But thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Cheers for tuning in. If you want any more of our content, head to socials, head to Instagram, head to TikTok. Not that we really use it. But yeah, this will be on all major platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and share it with your pals.
If you like this podcast, give it a nice wee rating there.
Give it a little review. Yeah. Thanking you guys. Speak to you soon.
Thank you.